Welcome back to the Indiewood Podcast. We are a podcast about indie films and indie filmmakers and the many hats those filmmakers have to wear in order to get those movies made. So we're in episode 2. We're chatting with actor, producer, theater maker, and aspiring writer, Allie Rae Treharne.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hi.
So Allie Ray has been talking in the last episode. We talked about your unconventional. I don't want to say unconventional, but I think it's kind of like, ooh, how is that unconventional? Your unconventional journey to Los Angeles and then getting on a show, and then kind of your own journey with that. And I think it was really helpful for me, at least, kind of getting a perspective on how different it is for some people to get into the entertainment industry in Los Angeles specifically. But your kind of journey didn't stop there. You know, you were doing film and TV, and then you kind of segued into theater, which for me is kind of close to my heart because I grew up in theater. I grew up on the stage, or around backstage, I guess would be the right word. And having then kind of gone to film and made movies and then gotten them into festivals, having heard your experience with getting a theater play. Musical or play? Play.
Yeah.
And so the play, getting the play off the ground in Los Angeles and then getting into festivals, there's a lot of similarities. And I think people don't really understand how difficult it is to juggle all the things that you need to do in order to get a project into a festival.
Sure.
So you made a play. You got a play off the ground. Is that the right term for it?
Yeah, I mean, we produced a play.
Yeah,
we produced the Los Angeles premiere of a published work that came out of Chicago. It came out of Steppenwolf in Chicago originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me more about this play. It was called Detroit, right?
It's a play called Detroit, and it's written by Lisa Damour, incredible playwright, and it was actually a Pulitzer Prize finalist. I don't remember what year. Maybe about 15 years ago. 12 years ago. But anyway, yeah.
What made you choose to play?
So I read it in my acting class. So I'm in a scene study class. Shout out Last Acting Studio. And it's a scene study class. So I've been reading probably for a while there, I was reading a play a week for 2 years. And to find material to bring to this class to really dive into. And so anyway, I read this play looking for material for myself, and it just hit so hard. We brought it to class, and the first time I put it on its feet with someone else, and the first time I put this character on its feet, it just went so well that my teacher was like, you know what, you need to choose other material. You guys already did it. So, and I think that was just it, because it just sat so well. It just I was like, oh my God, I just love this material. And I fell in love with the character so much. It just instantly became obsessed with her. And I was like, I am dying to play this bitch. And I was looking it up. I was like, who's producing the show? Who's producing the show? How do I audition for the show? How do I audition for the show? And then I was like, I think I need to do this show because it's not happening anywhere.
As someone coming from film and television, you were brought to Los Angeles, let's say that, to do film and television. When you saw the opportunity to do the show by yourself or do the show, I guess by yourself, produce the show by yourself. Were there any apprehension to being okay, I'm going to have to leave film and television behind for a little bit, for at least a couple months?
No, because things were so dead.
Oh, that's right. When was this?
Things were so dead. This was 2023.
Okay, yeah.
This was last summer. And 2023, my auditions dried up.
And that's in the middle of 2 strikes.
Yes.
There's writer strike,
COVID,
and then
writer strike, actor strike, no auditions. Went from being someone who's lucky, being an actor who's lucky enough to audition, going from that to nothing. So I wasn't worried.
Yeah.
No, I didn't give a shit. I was like, what am I gonna miss? The no auditions that are happening, the no projects that are happening, the nothing.
Well, we'll kind of get to this later as well, but why not do a short film version? Why not do a film version of that? Was it because there were kind of, oh, well, there's strikes happening, so we can't really make movies? Why do it as a play?
Well, I think the whole play is just so beautiful. I wanted to do the whole thing.
Okay.
And like that's just what's so beautiful about plays is that, like, it's an entire, like, this character goes on an entire journey, and I wanted to go on that entire journey.
You could do a full movie in play form for nothing, and the feature would cost you everything, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That too. It's just like, and I feel like it just serves itself for theater. The material is very, I don't know. I just like, we just wanted to do it as a play.
So from having the script in your hand, so it's like post-pandemic, middle of the strikes, and you have this script in your hand, what was the kind of workflow for getting it funded, for getting it put together and produced? And
so I owe a lot to my boyfriend who co-produced the play with me, and he was like a huge advocate from the beginning. So I think even just like energetically having someone being like, no, we can do this, it can happen, because I tend to kind of like despair and like spiral. Same.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't write that.
Yeah,
and
I'm just like, it's never gonna work. Yeah. And like, so him just like, no, it's gonna happen, we're gonna do it. And so that was really helpful. And oh gosh, it was just, I don't even know, it was just kind of like putting one foot in front of the other, like, hey, who are we gonna cast? Well, I have a class full of amazing classmates of the best actors in LA
who aren't working,
who are not working. I have an amazing community to pull from beyond that, so it was like, who are we going to cast? We started there. And I also cast like someone who wasn't in my class, one of my best friends from childhood who lives in LA now. I cast him because he's one of my best friends, and we grew up doing plays together at school, and grew up singing together. And so I cast him as like my husband in the play, because we're so close. Like it's just like kind of like, it kind of felt like just kind of pulling from, it started by just pulling from our very immediate resources. So then we were like, who do we have to direct? Well, an acting coach that I adore, like, I'm going to get my friend Bezod to direct it. He started directing it. Because that's what immediately was available to us and what we thought, would be like a good fit. And like, eventually he had to leave the project because he had much more, he has a lot he's a very anyway he had to leave the project. Yes, like very good, really, really awesome
NDA
stuff.
kind of projects.
He does so much stuff. It's honestly amazing that he even was down to work with us in the first place. But with him leaving, then he recommended the director we ended up with, who is like a veteran director from Chicago, which is where the play came out of. So his sensibility just like really fit. And because of like the Bezod like recommending us personally to this other director, it actually really leveled up the play. So that director wasn't someone who we immediately had in our vicinity, but someone in our immediate vicinity had him in his immediate vicinity. And so, Ari, my co-producer, and I took Vance Smith, is the director's name, out to coffee and just convinced him to do this. And he immediately just elevated it. And then from there, we found like other things, so it's just kind of like we started here. And honestly, with funding, we
robbed a bank.
Yeah, we literally committed so many crimes. No, we did not. We barely, honestly, it was mostly self-funded.
Okay.
Like I had a day job. And my day job check, most of it went to this. And same with my co-producer.
We've talked about this on the pod before, about kind of funding your own work and your own projects.
Yeah.
And I've always heard people say, don't use your money. And I think there's some truth to that in a way, where you don't use your money so that you don't go into debt. Like you shouldn't be destitute and suffering just because you funded a film for $2 million. But like I think there are opportunities for creatives to utilize their own funds. We did it for the web series that we shot in New York. We got a grant for $16,000. We crowdfunded a couple grand, and then we put it into the 2 or 3. But that 2 or 3 saved the project, and it wasn't that it was a necessity. We probably could have found the money somewhere else, but like it gave us, I think, ownership or stakes or whatever. So, and the reason why I'm asking about your kind of journey with the film is, I'm sorry, the play for Detroit, is because there's so many similarities to getting a film off the ground. It's literally 1-to-1. And I think your approach is really cool because having this community that you can tap into can really put some feet under a project. And that's what we did, what we're doing for this other short that's coming up, is we looked at our community, but okay, who do we know who's a great cinematographer, great actor? And then we started talking to vendors, and we started talking to like different companies. Like, can you fund it? So like we're trying to actively get this film like cast, fully crewed and also fully funded without having to kind of, sell it in a very crowdfunding sort of way, because that's always so hard, because then we can make the film and then we can sell it. And so, kind of reaching into your little basket of friends, I think.
It's a wonderful basket of friends. I love my basket of friends so much. I love my communities. And we did crowdfund a little bit. Like we did a staged reading of the piece,
which I think is a little different than like traditional.
Sure. I mean, I was like, I'm not going to set up a GoFundMe or a. Oh, I mean, we've all done this in the past. We've all done it, and I hate it so much. So we're just so we just like had a reading, and people donate. We raised like $2,000, and that can go really, really far with independent theater. And our venue was free because we first launched the play site specifically in someone's backyard, because the play takes place in a backyard. So it was also kind of like utilizing like the essence of the play, and really just sort of like weaving it into Los Angeles and what we already have here. Like it's a play about class, and like relationships and, the American dream. It's like LA's perfect for that. So it was just like we leaned a lot on just like what already existed. So,
and for those who come from film and don't know a lot about theater, what does site specific mean?
So that means that, oh gosh, I mean, it's the site specific, where the play is being held informs the play. So like we didn't do it in a theater, we did it in a backyard. It was site specific to a backyard.
Kind of like a film that you didn't film.
So like our set was a backyard, or a site specific play could be like in a parking lot, because the play takes place in a parking lot, in the lobby of a mansion, because it's a play that is in a takes place in a mansion. So site specific, backyard. It was in a backyard. We like used the facade of this house as the character's house, and we had our audience bring blankets and picnic chairs and like sit on the ground. We sold beer and wine out of a cooler.
That's so cool.
It was so fun.
I feel like people can do something similar with shorts, like do a reading, feed people, and then ask for funding. I think that's a really cool opportunity to get money raised for your film. And it gives those kind of patrons, I guess, an opportunity to see it, feel it, and kind of make it more tangible. Because crowdfunding, a trailer that you made with, clips from other movies there's nothing tangible there, So this play gets off the ground. You get this amazing director. You're doing it.
Amazing director.
And then you get into Fringe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Fringe, disclaimer, Fringe is a huge festival, and all sorts of shit goes to Fringe.
So can you tell me more about what Fringe is, and what was the journey to get the play?
I mean, we did that. The plan wasn't originally to extend it to Fringe. It was just to do the backyard. But we sold out all 3 backyard performances, and it just popped off, and it just went so well. It was so much fun.
How many seats in the backyard?
I think we capped our tickets at 80.
That's crazy. Fit 80 people in the backyard.
Yeah, I mean, initially we were trying to sell like 200, and then
I feel like at that point there's like equity rules that come into play, right?
possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, yeah, I think we capped it at 80, and then there were always people still trying to.
That's
So we just kind of, there's like, yeah, I mean, yeah. And I just think so many people are like, well, are you going to go to Fringe? Because Fringe is coming up, and it was there. It was like in the air. And I was like, I guess we're going to extend to Fringe. So with Fringe, I just applied for it to be in there. It got in. I think by default you get in.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not competitive to get into Fringe. At least the Hollywood Fringe Festival. And so Fringe is just like it's a huge play festival of lots of plays, and it's awesome. I would say it's mostly like one person shows actually.
Okay, yeah.
Detroit was honestly really overly produced for Fringe. Like we had a full cast, we had a 5-person cast. That's huge because most things are one person shows that people are working on. And we had a set. We had a functioning set. Our load in time was like 5 minutes. So we had that down to a science, but we set up like a set like in 5 minutes and took it out in 5 minutes. We had tech, we had music, we had
a full-blown show.
We fully produced it, and we had to, so from bringing it from the backyard to Fringe, we had to reblock it, restructure the play.
For like a traditional stage.
Yeah. So we actually, we found this gorgeous intimate black box at the Actors Company in Hollywood. Most of the venues for the Fringe are around Hollywood. And yeah, just gorgeous contemporary black box. And we had 5 rehearsals, I believe, to
restructure the play a little bit
and rebuild the tech, because we have more lighting now and more sound and stuff, because we have a gorgeous sound booth and LED lighting to utilize, and that was really, really fun to do that. But yeah, it was just so different, because the backyard with site-specific theater, it's really fun because like a lot of your tech is built into the environment. So like, these characters are sitting in a backyard talking, and like sometimes like in LA, like a plane flies overhead and we just kind of have to wait and look at the plane, and like a car's passing. So we don't have to build in any of the sound cues of like a neighbor's dog is barking, someone's jogging by. Like it all was like part of it.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things about theater, is that it can be so reactive. Even with just a traditional space, with like a traditional stage and an audience, there can be kind of a back and forth, which I think is really cool. And so bringing this play to the Hollywood Fringe Festival, is that the right title?
Yeah.
Okay. When we talked about it earlier off mic, it reminded me so much about bringing our project to Dances with Films, which is kind of like a long running indie film festival here in Los Angeles, which has been great to us, and I think they're great for small filmmakers. But when we got it in, we're like, great, it's in. And then it was like, okay, where's your poster? Where are your cards? Where are your things? Where are your little tidbits? And so for us, like that's where a lot of the extra money had to go, is making those
marketing collateral.
Yeah, collateral. There we go. Yeah. And so I think I want to talk to you about kind of your other hat, which is this advertising hat that you studied for, that you'd be like, oh, I'm never going to use this in film, but then you produce a play and now you have to create all these things and advertise it to not only sell tickets to the show, but also kind of promote its presence in the theater festival that you
Definitely,
did.
yeah.
So what did you bring from this other world into not only the play but the festival?
Well, I did like all of our marketing. So
and when you say marketing, like what does that entail?
Well, I kind of like established like a design language for the show. So like what our title is going to look like, what fonts we're going to use in our collateral, like what colors we're using, just to give it sort of like a recognizable little, so we did a Detroit logo, and we made posters in various sizes. You have to have like an 11 by 17 or an 18 by 24, 5 by 7 mailers, 4 by 6 mailers. And that depended, for the backyard, there was a certain set of collateral. You need signs printed that are like scan for tickets or like scan here for the program. We made a program. All of this, for me, I like all of that branding to be extremely cohesive and tight, because I just think that really, really elevates a project when the like marketing aesthetics around it are really thoughtful. And I feel like so much stuff just like looks bad. and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, people don't think about it, and then they kind of make it
and
the
I'm
last
like, you need
minute.
to think about it.
Mm-hmm. I
You
feel
need to
like
think about it.
right as you just start to create, your titles for the show or your short, like what the title card is going to look like, that's the beginning of when you should make your marketing collateral.
Yes. And if you don't know what looks good, you should talk to a designer and ask them what looks good. And don't just like throw shit up there and be like, well, I like it, if you have no idea what, like, if you actually don't know about like design principles or marketing principles or advertising principles, like just like ask someone and like lean on other people and like give feedback. Cause I think like your project looking good,
outside of the actual project.
I don't know. I just feel like it makes a big difference. Like we were running ads on Facebook and Instagram, and like I want that stuff to look sexy. I want people to be like, "Ooh, what's this?" I don't know. What's this cool looking poster? But like actually, like I wanted it to look more expensive and better than like it was.
I think the marketing of something is, I mean, when studios make movies, they put in double the budget. Or they double the budget and put the rest of it in marketing to get it out to people, in front of people, and make sure that people want to go see it. I think even if your project is smaller, whether you're doing theater or a short film that's going to a festival or screening somewhere, it's so important to have those things locked down.
Especially if it's small, because you don't have the resources and money to like make up for something that looks bad. So I just went really, we did a lot of that. I ordered like little stickers to put around town.
That's so cool.
That I thought looked really cute. I didn't have any on me, but stuff like that. You sometimes have to get creative with it, do some like guerrilla marketing, like putting stickers everywhere. Because
Are you, like, when you budget for the collateral and the marketing material, how much are you usually putting aside? Or would you put aside?
Oh man, honestly, so the double-edged sword here, like the pro to me being a designer is that we didn't have to pay a designer or a marketing agency, an advertising firm to do anything for us. So it was like I just did all the design, which the con there is like I did all the design. Like it was, I did so much.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's like thousands of dollars of work.
I mean, if I was like, wow, if I hired me to do this, I would probably charge a lot. So it was like we got it for free because I was doing it. I mean, and I also artistic like directed the show. Like I worked very closely with our stage director. I like chose all of like the music cues and like helped with. So it was like all of like the visual artistic around it within the show, outside of the show, like. I feel like I kind of overarching artistic directed it. So all of that stuff we were able to save money. But of course we did compensate people we worked with as best we could, because I think I really think you should
pay people.
Yes. And I feel like a lot of times with like design and stuff, even with, there's certain roles I feel like when making your own projects that like there seems to be a culture of like, I don't need to compensate this person.
Yeah.
And like,
especially now that with AI,
they should just be happy to work with me. Yes. Or I can just like put it into this like software and it'll spit out a poster that works. And I'm like,
we did an episode of about AI that should have premiered before the episode 1 of this series. And maybe we'll have you come back when you're back in town. And we'll talk about AI again. So with everything that you did, how much money did you kind of set aside, or should people set aside?
We spent maybe a couple $100 with Meta, so just marketing
just
on
to
Instagram
advertise
and
it, like,
Facebook.
do ads.
So,
what about for the design stuff? Because I feel like a lot of people who are jumping into a short or a play, when they have to create these things, they're not really maybe knowledgeable or have the expertise to really create that material.
Gosh, honestly, it's hard because I know that it can be expensive.
It can be, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of... So I would just say, like, make it a priority and, like, understand that, like, this is people's living. So if you're asking someone to make something for you, it's probably not helpful to like, ask them if they can do all of this stuff and then say, oh, and by the way, I have like $100.
So more than $100.
Yes, more than $100. I think maybe lead with like asking what someone's rate is. To me, feels like a little bit more polite than being like, I want this and this and this and this and this, and then not even asking what their rate is and being like, I can give you $150. It's like, if you really want it done well, and like make friends with like designers, and other people who are good at that stuff, like I personally design for my friends all the time. I don't charge for my friends, but like I've done a lot of movie posters for my friends and I actually love doing that. It's like very fulfilling. It's probably the only time that I'm designing that I'm actually like this
Using the
aligns
degree.
with my
The
what I mean, because I'm
original
not working for like
yeah.
some giant corporation, like some insurance or like some real estate firm, like making brochures. It's like the least soul sucking version of my day job.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I would just say like just know that you do have to set aside probably a few $100s.
Yeah, a few. I want to say like your tip about leading with quote, because we did something similar with our sound designer for the show we did, and we were like, hey, what's your quote? He's like, well, I charge this, and we're like, great. We want this. We want A, B, and C. We have this much money. Where can we meet in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
And he really worked with us because he appreciated our respect about his ability. And I think there's a way to find middle ground. You just have to be nice.
And I think like even just trying to pay someone in any way,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's the minimum wage, like equity contract, for example, for actors, I think it's like $17 an hour. Even if it's that, I still think you need to do that. And even if it's like, all I can give you is like $200 to do this thing, but to like have a conversation where like you are like, I am allocating like within my resources, like a ratio of my resources that is how like that is respectful. Like I am giving you a respectful rate, like fraction of my resources. Like, don't so it's like I feel like with Detroit we got some really awesome people to work with us, like our set designer. She works normally on huge lots on big TV shows, you know what I mean? And she was just like, I don't know, I think from the like, but she was willing to work with us, and I hope part of it is because like we had like a respectful dialogue where it's like you acknowledge like the sacrifice someone is giving you, and you're like and the energy is there that you're trying to compensate them and that you really do respect them. So maybe the numbers won't align perfectly, but like a lot of then other people still want to collaborate with you, and they'll do things with that's that they're not going to make any money off your project. But the fact that you're not just expecting people to work for free for you, I think like goes a long way.
I agree. And I think your experience with creating your own material really leads into the theme of this podcast, is wearing many hats. You have this experience that's traditionally not an entertainment experience, but you're utilizing it in a way that's supporting your project, making sure things are under budget, making sure things get made, they look good. And I mean, you sold out 3 shows of 80 tickets a pop, and people still came in.
And then we sold out some of Fringe too.
There you go. I think is a credit to the hat that may not be a common filmmaking hat, but I think filmmakers shouldn't only think about what their experience in the film world is. It's like, what else can I do? Can I play music? Can I drive a car fast around a corner? Don't do that. Get a stuntman, please. Or I can make my own posters. I know how to market and sell a show. I know how to, we wear so many hats in support of our career, like day job stuff or, things that pay the bills. Like for me, for example, I do a lot of writing for vendors, and I used to be a journalist in the entertainment space.
You used to be a journalist?
Yeah. I used to work for a film school.
Cool.
Yeah, that used to be my job for a couple of years. Around the tech beat. I was a tech editor for no film school for a while. Yeah. And so that helped me meet a lot of folks in the entertainment world that were like on the technical side. And that connected me with a lot of companies that wanted to provide technology for creatives, but maybe just didn't know how to communicate with them. And because I had like a little bit of knowledge there and a little bit of knowledge here, I bridged gaps. I'm a bridger. I'm a gap bridger. I'm a gap bridger. That sounds like a cool sci-fi name.
Gap bridger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like a name of a character?
Yeah.
My name's Gap.
Gap bridger.
Gap bridger.
God, I want to write an 80s sci-fi now. On that note, Gap Bridger and I and Allie Ray are going to wrap up this pod. And we still have a couple more episodes to record with you. And we're going to talk about writing and editing, which are 2 of my favorite things. And I'm excited.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us at the CFA studio for another series of the Anywood podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you find your podcasts or on YouTube at the Cinematography for Actors YouTube channel. See you next week.
From the CFA network, Cinematography for Actors is bridging the gap through education and community building. Find out about us and listen to our other podcast at cinematographyforactors.com.
Cinematography for Actors Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit. For more information on fiscal sponsorship, donations, because we're tax exempt now, so it's a tax write-off, and upcoming education, you can email us at contact@cinematographyforactors.com. Thanks.